Good morning. Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everybody has been having a great week so far. Hopefully, this thing's working. Are we on? Is this thing live? Is this even working? Give it a minute. Let some notifications click in. This is a very impromptu live. I think I had this scheduled already. On the other side of StreamYard. I think I had this scheduled for days. And, life got busy being life. So I wanted to talk about some of the things, right, that have been going on since the crime scene photos came out. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. Dana Lynn, hello. Hello. Carrie, Annie Ruler, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I know it's an impromptu live. You probably won't get notifications for it. D Smalls, hello. DKM, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Hope everybody's got their coffee. Little cup of coffee, little cup of tea, little cup of something, a little cup of something, something. Because today is a brainworms day. Today is a Miss Potts brainworms day. So that's always fun. Right? That's always funsies when we get a Miss Potts Brainworms Day. I think it's fun. It's fun for me because I get to get it out of my brain and then move on with my life. You know what I mean? Mama Five, hello. Christie's Chaos, hello, darling. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, more brainworms, darling. Oh, great. I know, right? Just what you need to start off your day. I got to get them out of my head, okay? I got to get them out of my head. I think mostly what I want to try and stay focused on. Right Turn Clyde, hello. Just saying hello. Good morning. Welcome in, everybody. Maybe I should just give it a minute, huh? Let some notifications click in. Tell your friends we're live. Tell everyone we're live. Sammy T says it's afternoon. Well, it's afternoon, Sammy, where you are, but it's morning. Morning here. But yes, good afternoon to you, Sammy T. Welcome on in. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great week so far. Hope you had a great weekend. Life got busy, so I had this live scheduled for days, forgot all about it. You're in the UK. Oh, okay. All right, Sammy T. Well, I hope you're having a great day in the UK. I did have a chance to watch all the interviews, okay? The title of the live is Why Do They Keep Saying That These Crime Scene Pics Were Leaked? They weren't, right? These were not a leak. So I'm going to try to succinctly as possible explain why this was not a leak. And many of you probably already know why this isn't a leak because you've been here long enough. You've probably seen my posts in my community tab showing my emails going back and forth with Idaho State Police since August of last year. Okay. I know there's a lot of people who are like, why would anyone even want these photos? Why would anyone, the people who want to look at these photos are sick, right? That's the one that they love to throw, the emotional gaslighting, right? The emotional manipulation. Anyone who wants to look at these photos is just sick. Well, you could go ahead and start with NBC because NBC is the first media company who requested the crime scene photos and got them and paid money for it to Moscow Police Department. Okay. So if you want to, emotionally gaslight people, start with NBC because NBC is the first media group that was able to gain access to crime scene photos, and they did it via the Moscow Police Department. That first batch of crime scene photos that we got that were kind of blurred and cropped and whatever, those came from NBC. You can see the fucking logo on the bottom. They watermarked. They watermarked the crime scene photos. NBC did. NBC did. Meg, good morning. Beach Babe, hello. Good morning. Welcome in, everyone. Jazz King, my king, so good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for your super sticker. You did not have to do that. You didn't. But thank you. Yes, for the coffee fund. Thank you. You're amazing. You know it goes right to Starbies. I tell you what, my Starbies and my Nespresso pods, okay, friends? Like, that's where my money goes. Thank you so much, Jazz King. That was so nice of you. I appreciate it. Good morning, Meg. Trying to see my chat here, friends. If I miss you in chat, I'm sorry. I'm on my phone and I can only see a couple at a time, so it's fine. Beach Babe, hello. Meg, so good to see you as always. Beautiful Meg P. Big Booty Judy. Oh my goodness. Good morning. Good morning. Before we go too far, too, Mercy Cat, somewhere, if you're in the world listening, darling, I don't deserve you. Mercy Cat. I want all of you to know. I don't know what I did in my life to deserve Mercy Cat, but I don't deserve Mercy Cat. She's just, I don't deserve her. Mercy Cat, I love you. I love you so much, darling, wherever you are in the world today. Am I feeling better, Beach Babe? Well, somewhat, honey, somewhat. They said I could go back to work part-time, which is like fucking killing me. It's killing me. Batshit, good morning, good morning. I'm a worker bee, I'm a workaholic. And them telling me you can go back, but it can only be light duty and you have to take it easy. I'm just like, I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know how to fucking do that. And it's making me insane. So this is why also I have so many damn brain worms too, because I'm usually a very busy, busy, busy person doing many other things that have nothing to do with the interwebs and Kohberger. And I have not been busy. I have not been busy. And I can't be busy even when I want to be busy because the doctors are telling me I'm not allowed. I mean, I feel better in the sense that like I can come and snark the fuck out of life and give you my brain worms. But yes, so thank you, darling, for asking. Thank you. Thank you. Diane Draper. Hello. Good morning. I hope you're doing better, honey. I know you're probably not, but day by day, right? Day by day. That's all that we can do, friends, is day by day. Janet, good morning. Welcome on in. Janet, one of my other favorite names. Janet Jones, wherever you are in the world. Miss you. It's Janet, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Nasty. Nasty boys. Don't mean a thing. Ugh, love me some Janet. So anyways, enough of my bullshit, right? You guys are going to get just some of my thoughts, some of my opinions. We will get back into why. These pics were not leaked. That's number one. If you're upset that people are able to gain access to public documents in a closed case via the legal FOIA process, you have to start with NBC, because NBC is one of the first people, actually mainstream media, that was able to gain access to these crime scene photos via the Moscow Police Department. Okay. Sandra, hello. Welcome on in. So then after that, right now, here's what's interesting, okay, is that after Moscow Police releases some of these photos to NBC, right? No problem. NBC gets them. NBC, if I remember correctly, they got like a little over 400. Momo, hello. Is Mercy Cat in here? Good morning, Mercy Cat. Are you in here? I saw Meg say Mercy. There's Mercy Cat. Good morning, darling. I was just saying I don't deserve you. I literally don't deserve you, Mercy Cat. I was just telling everyone, wherever you are in the world, that I love you so much and I don't deserve you. I don't. But I'm so glad that I have you. You're amazing. I hope you and the king are wonderful today. So, NBC gets these photos, right? Now, no problem. NBC releases some of the photos. They got like over 400. They only put out maybe what? It was like 10 or 12 or like 14 photos, right? It wasn't a lot. And they were like cropped and watermarked and whatever. And I knew right away when we got those photos from NBC, they are not the accurate photo. There's other photos, right? And because I know better than to go through Moscow Police Department for anything, I don't submit my FOIAs to Moscow. For anyone who's wondering, right? I know a lot of people go through Moscow because they're the lead agency, but if you've been around long enough, you know Moscow, like, Moscow it doesn't appear was really doing shit, okay? Other than waiting for other agencies to do the work. And that's just my opinion. So, what I did is I went through Idaho State Police instead. So after NBC got the photos and I knew they got the photos from MPD, I was like, well, actually, I don't want MPD's photos. I want the other ones. Dean. Hello, Dean. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. I'm so sorry if I'm missing people in chat, okay? I'm on my phone, guys, and I appreciate you being here. Welcome in, everyone. Don't be offended if I miss you. I'm sorry. I can only see a couple comments at a time. So I am trying to look at chat, but I'm also trying to stay on track with my thoughts here. So I decided what I really wanted, and because I knew that they used the LizQ imaging system, I wanted LizQ, right? So my initial request was for the LizQ images and 3D scans. Life of Riley, hello. That was back in like August of 2025. I think the exact date is like August 28th, 2025 is when I put in that request. And it took a while for me to hear back from Matthew Gamet. And we went back and forth. Somebody gifted 10 memberships. Mercy Cat, my darling. You're freaking amazing. Thank you so much, honey. You did not have to do that, but 10 of you just got gifted a membership from Mercy Cat. So please make sure that you put all the hearts in chat for her and say thank you. Okay? Please make sure you say thank you. How do I get back to there we go. Welcome in, new members. That's right. Welcome in, new members. So when I started putting in my request to Idaho State Police, I really just wanted the LizQ stuff. And the reason that I wanted that is because I didn't want the crime scene photos that were given. I didn't want the photos taken with some officer's cell phone. Okay. I wanted actual forensic photos that were done. So Matthew and I went back and forth for a while. And as you guys know, what it really came down to is he tried to quote me $10,000 to honor my FOIA. Okay. Long story short, Matthew Gamet and the Idaho State Police Lab came back with a $10,000 quote to honor my FOIA, claiming that the amount of time it would take to go in and redact these images, because they had the 2790, which is the actual imaging done, and then they had another like 4,000, which is done with LizQ. So there's a difference. You have your forensic services who are taking photographs, but they're before they do the imaging, right? So what they'll do is they'll go through, and forensic services is actually going to photograph everything first before they run the LizQ imaging. Okay. So that's what they did here. I wanted the forensic services imaging, their actual photos, and the 3D scans. They quoted me $10,000. One of the reasons that they said that they had to quote so much is because, well, due to the Laramie tort that was filed against the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and the city of Moscow, right? Per that order, the redactions have to be done, was the gist of it. Well, we have to do all of these redactions because of this order. And I normally, you guys know, say Do not listen to me. I don't know shit, right? I'm just some witch cackling bitch out here on the interwebs who rides around on a broom. There was a period of my life where I enjoyed constitutional law and learning about it and stuff kind of as a hobby. All right. Yes. In my early life, I worked at a law firm for a little while. I was never a paralegal, nothing like that. I was a researcher. I actually helped hunt down the people who were trying to disappear to get out of their debts. I'm the one who helped find them so that we could serve them and get them into court to pay whatever they owed the law firm. Okay. That's what I did. I'll just be fully transparent. Okay. And outside of that, I don't have a legal background other than the shit I nerd out on. All right. When they came back and he tried telling me, well, we have to honor this court order for redactions. Okay. I had to really kind of look at it legally on my own. Nobody helped me with this. This is something I did on my own. And what it really came down to is I was able to find that not only was Idaho State Police never named as a defendant in that tort, okay, out of Moscow. Fact of the matter is the order doesn't even apply to them. And I was able to argue that correctly and legally with Idaho State Police and with Matthew Gamet. Okay. To the point that they had to concede that because my argument was, here's what's there's two choices here. If you choose to honor a court order that does not apply to you and that you were not named as a defendant in, and you want to go in and redact the 3,000 almost 3,000 images, that's fine. You can do that, but you don't get to pass that cost burden on to me, the public taxpayer whose FOIA you have to honor, right? So the fact of the matter is they had two choices. You can either go ahead with your redactions, but I'm not going to pay for it because you don't get to pass the cost burden on to me because you're choosing to honor something that doesn't even apply to you. If you want to honor it as a courtesy to the families so that you don't have to release these photos fully unredacted to me and I'll pay for them, right? Because that's what would have happened. Okay? That's exactly what would have happened. I just want everybody to understand that. They have an entire legal department at Idaho State Police. Matthew Gamet had to run all my shit by the legal department to figure out how they're going to honor my FOIA. Okay? This is just what the information that I have. And I have all my emails with Matthew Gamet. I'm not, I've posted them before to my community tab. I've shared them in shorts. You guys can go back and see. There's a whole short where I go through bit by bit precisely why you do not get to pass this $10,000 cost burden onto me for redactions that you're choosing to do per a court order that doesn't apply to you. I asked Matthew Gamet specifically point to me where in this tort or the order Idaho State Police is named, because you're not named as a defendant and therefore the order doesn't apply to you. And the fact of the matter is I was correct. I was legally correct. So, and I even made it abundantly clear to Mr. Gamet, I don't want photos of the victims. I was initially trying to get only the Liz Q. And according to Matthew Gamet, Liz Q was done 3 days after, and that there are no victims depicted. To which my argument was, well, then what's the purpose of the redactions? Why are you trying to charge me so much to redact things that don't even depict victims? What are you redacting? Well, we have to redact the blood, blah, blah, blah. No, you don't, because that order doesn't apply to you. And the fact of the matter is I was correct. Normally, I do not like to toot my own horn on things, but then I started seeing these interviews popping up, and they're saying that the photos were leaked. So first and foremost, yes, today I'm going to toot my own horn. All of you creators who got these crime scene photos, the reason they were uploaded for free to the public, to the Idaho State Police website, is because that's what I argued for. I argued there should be no cost for redactions. If you choose to redact, go ahead and redact, but you need to upload those photos. You need to release them free of charge to the public. The public should not have to pay for it. This is a closed case. Idaho State Police is not part of the order. They were not named as a defendant. You can either redact and upload for free, or you give them to me unredacted and I pay for them. It is what it is, right? So, everyone, you're welcome. I'm just going to go ahead and fucking give myself my own motherfucking round of applause here. Good job, Annie. Good job. It is what it is. The fact of the matter is, I was actually able to fucking out-lawyer them. I've never been to law school. Okay? And it was just, you don't even need to be a lawyer to see that Idaho State Police is not named as a defendant. Therefore, the order doesn't apply to them. Therefore, anything they choose to redact, they need to eat the cost of that. They don't get to charge me or someone else. Period. And apparently I was correct, because those almost 3,000 photos got redacted. I wasn't charged. They were uploaded for free to the public fucking website. I'm still waiting on my cost estimate for the 4,000 Liz Q, because the same argument applies. If you are choosing to go in to all of your Liz Q imaging and have to go through and black box and redact everything, that's your choice to do that. You don't have to. You're not legally obligated to. If you choose to do it, great. But you're going to eat the cost for it. You don't get to pass that cost on to someone else and put the burden on them. And apparently my arguments must have been legally correct, because now you have the family, specifically parents of Kaylee, continuing to go on to, ever since they got released. And this is no shade at them. You guys know I don't like to talk about the family members in this case at all. I prefer actually to just stick to like documents, what the state is saying, what the defense is saying, and then try to, pull what we can from what both sides are saying. I'm not one of those channels that only reads what the defense says. I'm not one of those channels that only looks at what the defense says. Many of you, if you've been here for a while, you know I can put either hat on. I could play prosecution right now. No problem. And give you all of my brain worms as to how I think Brian actually could be involved, because my brain can't operate from both angles. Okay. So what's confusing to me is that they're saying that, it was Olivia, that the director from Idaho State Police, someone called her for whatever reason, Christy says. For whatever reason, they were given the heads up the photos were going to be put out. So that's not a leak. If they called you to let you know the photos are coming out to the public website, that's not the photos being leaked. That is the state police lab realizing that actually the FOIA requester is correct, and this order from Megan Marshall doesn't apply to us because we were not named as a defendant, period. That order for that tort applies to Latah County Prosecutor's Office in the city of Moscow. Okay? The reason that these photos were released to the public website is because I spent 6 months legally arguing back and forth with Matthew Gamet at the Idaho State Police lab as to why they actually have to honor the public FOIAs and they do not get to pass this ridiculous cost burden for redactions onto the public because the court order doesn't even apply to them. And I was 1,000,000% correct. So, that's point one. It wasn't a leak. It wasn't a leak. These photos were released to the public website because they had no choice but to honor the FOIA one way or the other. You honor it by redacting and putting the photos up publicly, or you can still charge me, but they need to be unredacted. You can't charge for redactions. And I even made it abundantly clear I didn't even want photos of the victims. That's also in my emails. I was fine with having no photos of the victims. I was fine with just photos after victims have been removed from the scene. Okay? So I just want to make that abundantly clear that I was never asking for photos of the victims. Okay? So point one is it wasn't a leak. Point two is if you got the heads up from Idaho State Police, that also lets me know this is something you yourself never requested. Right? So they're kind of getting upset. Well, we didn't get none of this before the public did. Well, that's because you didn't request it. I'm guessing. Because if you had requested it, you would have got it. And you would have got it first because you're the family. They have to operate the same way we do. Even though they're the families, they still have to go through the same kind of process we do with FOIA. If they want something, they have to request it in writing. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome on in. Welcome. So, this is not me throwing any shade at this family because, you guys know, I don't like to talk about the families. I really don't. It's not. But what's bugging me about the interviews that they're doing is that if you're going to get upset that there is a legal public FOIA process that these agencies, whether they like it or not, have to honor and respond to, right? I don't know what else to say, okay? If you don't like it that people are still asking questions, that people still want to read documents, let's not forget there's still well over 200 plus filings in this case that are still under seal. We just had Hippler completely do a 360 on the last batch of documents that were supposed to be unsealed. Actually, oopsie poopsie, we're not gonna unseal them. I've changed my mind. Right? So you cannot get mad at the public that the public wants all of the documents. You can't get mad at the public that certain members of the public do want the crime scene photos. And it's not because they want to look at the victims. I know for me personally, I don't need photos of the victims, and I didn't ask for them. It's fine with them giving me everything except photos of the victims. Uh-oh. Am I still here? So sorry, got a phone call. So I was fine with them not giving me photos of the victims, right? But so I just look at it as I don't understand why you're upset, right? If the public can gain access to these records via a legal FOIA process, and you don't like it that the public can get them, I really don't know what else to say. NBC News and other media outlets got these photos from MPD long before Idaho State Police uploaded anything, right? It also, it gives me weird vibes the way that they're talking, because to me, it's almost like, I don't understand what you're so worried about. That's just that, my personal opinion. It's my own personal thoughts here. My opinion, my own personal opinion here is that, like, the vibes just give me like, what are you so nervous about? Like, they're talking about like some of the things that are, because of these photos being released and documents, and the documents are referencing autopsy stuff. Like, they think it's an autopsy report that's been released, and it's not. And like, I'm confused as to how, if you have all of these lawyers, none of these lawyers are advising you that, like, hey, actually it wasn't a leak. Right? That's how I look at it. Like, none of these lawyers that you have are advising you. They're like, hey, actually those photos weren't leaked. They were uploaded to the public website. It wasn't a leak. Right? They, like, nobody's advising you that all of this stuff is legally available to the public. They're allowed to have it. Do you get what I'm saying? Lana, darling, I know you keep calling me. I'm so very sorry. We're live. We're live, honey. Beth Wagner, hello, hello. And some of the vibes they're giving me, it's just weird, like Steve at one point back in the day was saying that Hitler was built for this case. That's what he said when the case got transferred. Hitler was built for this case. And now he's like, Hitler's useless. He's this, he's that. Like, does this all have to tie into the leak investigation that was going on? Whatever this internal investigation that's been going on for a while now, are we now getting the culmination of that? Is that why they're up and talking and going to all of these different media outlets? And you know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting to me. It seems that Steve is like very nervous about something. That's just my opinion. He seems like he's really nervous about something to come, something that's going to come out. I don't know. I don't know why. If it's a closed case, you are confident the state got the right person. You are confident the person who took the plea and admitted that everything the state says is true. If you're confident in all of that, why do you care if anybody else is still looking at it or has questions? Why does it matter? What does it matter? If you're confident about it and everything was done correctly, all of this stuff, it's just very interesting to me how now we're starting to see the flip, right? So like, first it was Judge is useless, right? Because Judge wasn't giving them what they wanted. Then the case got transferred and, it seemed like Hitler was going to give them what they wanted, but then they didn't get what they wanted. And now Hitler is also useless and blah, blah, blah. So it's just very interesting to me to see how quickly, like, they will turn on a dime. He's talking about how Hitler's clerk told him, you're not entitled. Steve made a comment about this, about some documents or about accessing some of these records. And Hitler's clerk told him, you're not entitled to it. He's talking about, we were trying to give them this and give them that, and they didn't want it. It's all like super interesting to me. And, because I can look at it from a very non-emotional, I'm not emotionally connected to anyone in this case. All of the emotions are compartmentalized. They're somewhere else. They don't exist. I'm just looking at it from a basic, like, okay, so you're kind of like turning on a dime here when it comes to certain things going on. And if you were so confident the state did everything right and they got the right person, like, what does it matter if people want access to the records and they want to look through them and they want to go over them? or they want to look at the photos. I understand they don't want people monetizing or whatever, and that's why I run my live streams for the crime scene photos. I hope you guys know that's why even today's live, for the most part, my lives while we are live are not monetized. There are no ads running during my lives. I can go back later and turn on monetization, which I will do, but the crime scene pic lives, like YouTube, automatically, they either demonetize it or it's very limited ad suitability anyway, which I already know because we're looking at crime scene photos. So I don't know what they mean by people are monetizing looking at the crime scene photos. Because I know for me, my crime scene photo videos, those ones, they're either very limited ad or not suitable for ads at all, right? Which I already kind of figured. And I don't care whether or not I make any money looking at the crime scene photos. I'm a blood nerd, and I like to look at like blood patterns and blood transfer and blood droplets and, where things were moved and to me, like, that is the stuff I geek out on. If that's offensive to these families, I am so sorry. It is not to be offensive. It is because of my brain and how it works and how it operates. These things do not make me squeamish. They're very intriguing to me. These are things that I like to nerd out on, I guess you could say. And I'm sorry if that's offensive, but that's why I don't have my monetization on during those lives. I'm not making a dime from it unless someone like adds to the Cashapp or they throw a super sticker in towards the coffee fund. Like, there must be other much, much larger creators out there showing these photos that are making bank. But I'm definitely not one of them. And I just want to clarify that for the record. Right? It's not me out here making bank off of these crime scene photos. Furthermore, I got them fucking released for free to the public. Okay? I didn't pay a dime, and the public didn't have to pay Idaho State Police a dime. So Idaho State Police didn't get to monetize off it. They didn't get to make any money off these crime scene photos. And I didn't pay a dime for them. Nor have I made much. We'll say that. Okay. Because, no. The crime scene photo lives are usually demonetized or very limited monetization. So I just wanted to clear that up. Okay. And make sure everybody understands that the reason that I argued it the way I did with Idaho State Police was so they would have to upload redacted for free. Do you understand? I hope everybody is understanding what I'm saying here. The whole reason I argued the way I did and for as long as I did is because I knew eventually they're gonna have to agree I'm correct and they're gonna have no other choice. I didn't want them unredacted. I want you to just release them for free to the public because that's what you should be doing. And you need to eat the cost for any redactions you choose to do. So I hope everybody understands that. But I got to tell you, like, it's just the vibes for me it's very interesting. I'll just say for me, it's interesting to see the behavior, some of the things that they're saying. These are not leaked photos. Idaho State Police gave your daughter the heads up that the photos were going onto the public website. Therefore, that's not a leak. It's not a leak. Also, autopsy reports were never released. Okay? There are no autopsy reports that were released. The only thing that came out is a state document, a state's exhibit, an amended rebuttal disclosure from the state's expert. She had to amend her original disclosure. And this amended rebuttal includes her retractions because she literally had to retract some of her previous analysis due to the fact that she was never notified specific evidentiary samples in this case from the house were renumbered and relabeled by the lead detective with no fucking rhyme or reason as to why that was done by the lead detective. Idaho State Police lead crime scene detective left all of these samples with the other lead detective from MPD, who decided, I'm just going to renumber everything. And for whatever reason, the state didn't let their expert Sutton here know that until after the defense's experts came in with their analysis, their disclosures, and they had some questions for her about hers. So as she's responding to the defense expert disclosures, she also has to amend her own. She has to amend her own rebuttal because she got it wrong, and it wasn't even her own fault. She got it wrong. She got it wrong because the state misinformed their own expert. The state omitted certain things from their own expert, who then gave an incorrect analysis. And you cannot submit your disclosure to the court sworn under oath, knowing that it has facts in it that are not facts. They're wrong. That's the whole reason she had to amend and retract. And in her amended disclosure, she has to reiterate that actually, if what the defense expert is saying is true, then yes, I would have to agree with them. Okay? So there are no autopsy reports. There are references to some language in the autopsy reports from the state's expert. There are no autopsy reports for these victims that were released. That's number 2. So number 1 is the crime scene photos were not a leak. Number 2, there are no autopsy reports that have been released to the public. They will not be released to the public. It is my understanding Spokane will not release those other than to family members only, immediate family only. Okay. So that's just a couple things that I wanted to clear up that are absolute untruths. The photos going up to the public website does not equal a leak. You know, it's just, and I'm not even sure like why their lawyers aren't advising them that like what you're saying just isn't true. The photos aren't a leak and there are no autopsy reports that were released. Those two things are absolutely untrue, right? And I never like to even talk about these family members, and I don't understand, but I'm sorry, when you're saying something that's just it's blatantly untrue, and your lawyer should have told you it's untrue, don't say it, right? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to me. And, you know, Steve is putting off this vibe of like, it's almost like a trapped animal in a cage, right? Who's just looking for any exit. That is the vibe that I get. If I can be completely honest, without judgment, that is the vibe that I get. If I am wrong, fine, I'm wrong. But the energy that he is giving off in some of these interviews over the last few days, it gives me the same energy as, you know, when you have to, I've done this many times in my life, when you have to go trap a feral cat to go rescue it, like they're in the cage and they're a rabid animal, whatever. They're looking for any exit. And that's the energy I'm getting. I'm getting energy of like a trapped animal who's looking for any exit. And I don't know why. And I'm probably wrong, and I'm just reading it wrong. Right. But that's just the vibes I get. I don't understand why you're going on TV and saying these things. Another thing that was interesting to me out of these interviews is when Christy was talking about how like, even if the police made mistakes, so what? What if it was just an honest mistake and blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about like his DNA is at the crime scene. And I'm like, yes, but you're leaving out the fact that there is another man's DNA on that sheet that isn't Kohberger's and it isn't fucking Chapin's. Right? Why are you leaving that out? Why are you intentionally ignoring that key piece? Yes, Brian's DNA is on that sheet, his trace DNA. Yes, his attorneys, as far as I know, have never denied it. His attorneys have never denied it's his sheath, ever. They know it's his sheath and they know it's his DNA on the sheath. Here's the problem. There's another man's DNA on that sheath that was never identified. It doesn't belong to Kohberger and it doesn't belong to Chapin. So whose is it? Who is male blood B and who is male blood D? That is also not Kohberger and not Chapin. Right? So these are the things that really bug me. Like, I can understand if you're going to look at it in totality. You can't just, they're talking about people cherry picking out of the defense records. No, it seems like you're cherry picking. With all due respect, it seems like you're cherry picking because you're cherry picking his trace DNA on the sheet while ignoring there's another man's DNA on the sheet they never identified. That's cherry picking. That's the absolute definition of cherry picking. I agree Brian's touch DNA is on that sheet. I agree that's his sheet. He's never denied that it's not. Ever. The only thing they said is his sheet was placed. So that just tells me, who the fuck does he know that had access to his knife and sheet that could have placed it there? It's the only question it makes me ask. It doesn't make me say, oh, well, it can't be Brian. It must be this other guy because Brian's DNA on the sheet is just trace DNA. He's never denied it's his sheath. It's never been denied it's his sheath and it's his DNA. The problem is that don't leave out the fact there's another man's DNA also on the sheath that they didn't identify. And it doesn't belong to Kohberger and it doesn't belong to Ethan. So they tested it for comparison purposes only, not for identification purposes. You understand? All of these other unknown male samples on the sheath and the blood were used for comparison purposes only, not for identification. Even though the trace sample was, they sent that shit through motherfucking time warps to identify it. Okay? They went into the quantum realm to identify the trace DNA while just completely fucking ignoring the others and only using the others for comparison purposes. Okay? So I guess that's how I feel about it. If you're gonna, talk about Brian's DNA on the sheet, great, do it. Absolutely. We can go there all day, but don't forget and don't ignore there's another man's DNA that was never identified. Talk about both. The other interesting thing to me that was said, they're talking about mistakes. Police made mistakes. And even if they did, so what? So what? It could have just been an innocent mistake, right? Well, the way that I look at it is, Steve made it a point to say, well, a mistake, for example, would be like when those undercover cops were doing the minor in possession stop at the Banfield when they should have been at 1122 King. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's interesting. Why would the undercover cops need to be at 1122 King at 3 a.m. when the crime allegedly didn't start occurring until like 4:07 a.m.? Why is it a mistake that the Banfield cops are doing patrol undercover at 3 a.m., not at King Road? Why are they supposed to be at King Road at 3 a.m.? He knows that the minor in possession stop is starting at like 2:54 whatever a.m., right? So if your minor in possession stop is occurring an hour plus before the crime allegedly starts, why is it a mistake? And what does he mean that the undercovers are supposed to be at 1122 King? What do you mean? I don't understand. Why are the undercovers supposed to be at 1122 King? Why is that? And why were they supposed to be there at 3 a.m. instead of doing this minor in possession stop? Right? Just saying. It's just questions. I don't understand what he means. So it's literally a genuine question. I don't understand what he means when he says it's a mistake that these undercovers should have been at 1122 King and they weren't. They were over here instead doing something else. Right? So what? The undercovers were supposed to be watching that house and they weren't? Is that what he means? Because I've been told all along that I'm a crazy crackpot fucking conspiracy theorist every time I've ever said that that house was likely under surveillance for months before this crime. Anytime I've ever said that, I get the comments of, you're a fucking conspiracy theorist. The house was not under surveillance. You're crazy. Well, I mean, that it seems to be what he's implying here. He's implying that these undercovers were supposed to be watching this fucking house instead of doing these minor in possession patrols. Right? It's very interesting. So I don't know what he means. I really don't know what he means when he says that these undercover officers should have been at 1122 King at 3 a.m. instead of doing this stop. I have no idea what that means. Right? But I remember when we first watched the body cam, one of my first things I said was, it looks like they're running cover. It looks like they're blocking people from going into that neighborhood. But that was just my opinion. I said that for the longest time, and people told me I was fucking insane. I was crazy. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Dago knows. Dago knows. I said it to him in the very beginning. Lana knows. First time we watched that undercover fucking body cam, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Are they like running cover here? Because I don't even hear him talking to anybody. Is he talking to dispatch in an earpiece? He's not using his little click click thing. Brr, brr, dispatch. I don't hear a radio. I don't hear nothing. And it seemed to me like they were running cover, stopping people from who's ever heading towards that fucking area. They were stopping them. That's what it looked like in my opinion. But I don't know shit. And I said that a very long time ago. But now you got Steve out here saying, well, these undercovers, I would say a mistake. One of the mistakes, as an example, would be that these undercovers are over here doing this stop when they should have been at 1122 King. And I'm like, what? That stop is happening at like 2:54 a.m. Why were they supposed to be at 1122 King at like 2:50 something in the morning, right when the last call is ending to Jack, right? Right around that same time? Is that right around the same time that this body cam picks up for the minor in possession? Right as the like last calls are going out to Jack, correct? Let me come and look at my chat. Friends, I'm sorry. I hope you're all still here and listening. Kenny Smith, hello. I'm on my phone, friends. Whitney, hello. I can only see a couple comments at a time. Welcome in, everyone. I don't look at my chat when I am going off on my tangents because then I forget my thoughts. So you were just getting all of my brain worms that I had to dump out of my brain. And now I'm coming back to chat. Jane Doe, hello. How are you? Winging it, hello. Dave Clayton, hello. Mad Hatter Truth Matters, hello. Miss Q, hello. Heather Mosher, always good to see you. Always good to see you. Thank you, Meg, for being here. Mercy Cat, Jazz King, everybody, Blue Devil, Beckles, hello. Okay. Kenny says the address was on the patrol route for protection. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure why it was a mistake for these undercovers to be doing their patrol at like 2:54 a.m. when allegedly this crime didn't even start till like 4:07 a.m. and their shift was over, correct? If I remember correctly, their undercover patrol shift ended right around when this crime started, did it not? If I've got the timeline here correct. Is there anybody in my chat, or is my chat not working? The last comment I see is Kenny Smith. Maybe my chat's not working. Shit. Hang on. Can I do this and then do this? Did I get it back? There we go. Okay, got it back, friends. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, we're checking all the boxes today. Kane, so good to see you. ATX, hello. Unapologetically me, hello. RJ, what up? Okay, so good, you're here. Okay. So if I remember correctly, the calls from Kaylee and Maddie end to Jack at approximately 2:53-ish a.m., correct? Right around the same time, Kohberger's phone is also being switched off, correct? Right around the time the body cams are being turned on for the Banfield stop, correct? Right around there, 2:53, 2:54, 2:55 a.m., correct? And then their patrol ends at like 4 a.m., right? I feel like if I've got my timeline, I could be off by a minute or two, but I feel like that's right. Mercy Cat, I see Meg saying thank you to you, but what did you do, darling? Thank you, Mercy Cat. I'm telling you, I don't deserve this woman. She's a fucking goddess. Thank you, Mercy Cat, whatever you did. I see Meg saying thank you to you. I don't know what you did, but thank you, honey. As always, I appreciate you so much. Somebody says they'll email me a defense filing. Taylor says Kohberger never bought the knife in the sheath. Well, you can't email it to me, honey, because I don't give my email out to anybody. But I truly appreciate you. You could probably like email it to Meg. Meg could get it to me, I'm sure. Through Fitzy. Meg could get it to me through Fitzy, but I don't give my email out. There's only like 3 people that have it. But I truly appreciate you, and I do appreciate that. If you know what filing it is, I'll go look for it. You can tell me, I'll go find it. But I usually don't give my email out to anybody. Sorry. And the 3 people I do know that have my email, I feel like I trust implicitly that you couldn't beat it out of them even if you tried. So, you know, you could put it in the Discord too. Yep, Annie Ruler, thank you. I do have a Discord. I haven't checked it in like a month. I'm not active on it. I check it like once a month, but my peeps are in there and they'll see it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you guys my brainworms. I think it's super interesting what they're saying about the undercover police. I think it's very, very interesting. Ro, hello, Roey. Good to see you. Where's Ro? Tea spicy, TS. I'm just going to say that it's supposed to say tea spicy for fuck's sake. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. I don't know, guys. Amethyst. Hi, honey. I just don't understand what he means because the minor in possession stop is happening, like way before this crime allegedly starts, right? Tea spicy, you like that? I'm going to call you tea spicy. Is that okay? Is that what it's supposed to mean? Tea spicy? That's what my brain automatically made up without the vowels. Tea spicy. No, there's a vowel in there. Either way, it's early. I'm still sucking down espresso. My brain showed tea spicy as your name. Which he was. Hello. If I'm missing anybody, so sorry. So yeah, guys, I mean, I don't know what he means by this undercover stuff. I really don't. It's just an honest, genuine, like, sir, with all due respect, I really mean this, like, with nothing but respect. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't understand why it's such a big mistake that they made by having these undercovers doing this patrol over here an hour plus before the crime allegedly occurs. And these cops are actually supposed to be at the King Road house. Okay. That's interesting. That's fucking wild. Why are they supposed to be there, number one, at 3 a.m.? Number two, what? Why are they even supposed to be there? Well, for what reason? What do you mean? They should have been at the King Roadhouse instead of doing this minor in possession stop. Why? I don't understand. Why? And then we have fucking Roger Lanier on that body cam telling, I think it's Officer Snyder or maybe it's Noons. I don't fucking know which cop he's talking to. But he's telling this cop that he got information that possibly one of the victims was a CI, is a CI. I did share the body cam to my community tab. I think Christie's Chaos is the one who put it out. Or maybe it was Connor. I forget which one. It was either Christy or Connor because those are the two that have just been pumping out the body cam stuff. And you guys know I usually don't even go through it. I really don't. Like, I don't know. I leave the body cams to everyone else, right? I'm the doc nerd. The body cams are just, I can't stand sitting there for hours, like going through them and listening to them. I'd rather stab my own eyeball out. But docs, I can look at docs for days. Body cams, I can't. After about 30 minutes of a body cam, I've had enough. I need to shut it off and be done. So we leave the body cams to others. I did share it to my community tab. Lanier is rolled up to the scene. He's standing down at the corner, the intersection of Queen and King, with a couple of other officers. It's Gundy and another one, I think, if I remember correctly. And he's saying to them that he got information that one of the victims is or was a CI. Okay. I'm thinking to myself, holy shit. So we have Lanier here. So every fucking time that I was told I was a damn conspiracy theorist, I'm this and I'm that because I said fucking spooks. This is spook shit. When the FBI said, hey, bitch, go fuck yourself. We aren't giving you anything because it could interfere with ongoing investigations. Prospective law enforcement proceedings was one of the reasons they couldn't give me anything, right? Told me to go fuck myself. Now we know why. And I've said this before, no shade towards any of these victims, but it is my very humble opinion, uneducated, know nothing opinion. If your CI is one of the victims, well, then we can probably exclude Bethany. We can exclude Dylan. So we can exclude Dillany. Okay. Dillany is probably not your CIs, right? Either one of those two. In my opinion, your CI, if you have one as a victim in this home, is probably going to be the one that has his own apartment that he isn't staying at, doesn't stay at, stays at his girlfriend's house instead that's always fucking packed like a sardine can, doesn't appear to be driving his Jeep, because the photos of that Jeep in the driveway, it looks like it's been parked for a really long time. The leaves and everything all embedded in the windshield wiper, the grill. It's packed with shit in the back and everywhere. Like, to me, it just looks like he's using the Black Explorer with the two siblings, or maybe he's using Xana's car and sharing Xana's car. But for whatever reason, it would appear to me Ethan is the one who's actually maybe hiding out or staying over here because this place over here is like a CI spot. Like he can't actually stay there. It doesn't make sense. And Ethan's apartment, by the way, wasn't touched by Moscow Police Department, the lead agency. It wasn't touched by Idaho State Police. It was the FBI. The FBI are the ones who took Ethan's apartment. If I remember correctly, it was the FBI who handled everything to do with Ethan's apartment, not the lead agency. So to me, it just makes more sense that that's probably your CI. The person who has his own place he never stays at, and the FBI handled that stuff to do with him for his place. That's just my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have no problem being wrong. But that's just my opinion. It feels to me like, okay, well, it just seems the most common sense. Your CI is probably the person who is staying over here, even though he has his own place over here, and the feds roll in to handle his apartment. I'm just saying. I don't know, you know. To me, I don't think when Lanier is saying one of the victims was or is a CI, right? I don't think he's talking about, I really don't think he's talking about Dillany, those two. I don't think he's talking about them. I don't think he's talking about Kaylee or Maddie. I just don't. My gut tells me that your CI is going to be why the FBI is handling everything pertaining to that person. And it would appear that a lot of the stuff the FBI handled in this case actually pertained to Ethan, specifically his apartment that he never stayed at. Nobody else thinks it's odd. So like, you know, if you've ever been in the drug business, in the drug world, you're very well aware that like maybe the spot you go to pick up at and the spot that you go to cop your shit at isn't actually where that person sleeps. It's not where they lay their head. It's just their spot that they use to move shit and stash shit. And if you're using that apartment as a stash spot, as a, you know, pickup spot, it would make sense. You're not going to sleep there. If you are an informant, you're not going to stay there. The place is probably that, you know, if that apartment was being used as like an undercover spot for sales, that place was bugged for sound, for audio. It makes sense why the feds would take it over. Makes sense why the feds would be the ones to process it. They got to go in and get all their fucking electronics and their bugs and everything out of it. I'm just saying. You're getting all my fucking brainworms today, friends. I told you. These are just my opinions. When you hear Roger Lanier on a body cam saying a victim might be a fucking CI, and then the FBI swoops in and says, everything to do with him, you're not touching that shit. We're doing it. You can go ahead and process the King Road scene. You can go ahead and have Idaho State Police handle the King Road scene and whatever fucking perp you end up putting in custody or whatever, right? But when it comes to Ethan's place, nobody else is touching that. It's just the feds. To me, that's your informant. It just is the most it makes the most logical sense. That's who your informant would be, is whoever the feds are rolling in to sweep up and handle that portion of the investigation pertaining to that person. That's probably your CI. Just my opinion. I don't know shit. Do not listen to me. Do not run with anything I say. These are just my opinions based on what's being said by people, what is being said on the media, what is coming out in some of the documents, what the chief at the time or captain of the Moscow Police Department at the time, Roger Lanier, said to another officer on body cam. This isn't me just pulling it out of my ass and making it up. Okay? We're not making it up here. Roger Lanier himself says this to another officer at the scene, that one of these victims might be a CI. That's the information he got, that one of the victims might be a CI. And then when you go and you start looking back after that, everything that happened after that, we find out Ethan has his own apartment. None of the Idaho State Police reports, none of the MPD reports detail the processing of Ethan's apartment. So logic would dictate it's the FBI who handled his apartment. There's no way they didn't process it. There's no way they didn't find out about an apartment he had and not go to it and not go check it out. They didn't need to. They already knew about his apartment. That's why the feds handled it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like step one, logically, to step two, to step three. Like to me, it's just logical. What happened here? He's probably your CI. That's just my opinion. Makes sense why he wasn't staying at the apartment that he has. Why wouldn't you stay at an apartment? You have a girlfriend and her house is always fucking jam-packed like a sardine can. And you're staying there instead of the place that you have all to yourself, huh? No roommates, no nothing. You and your girl can just go Netflix and chill every night with no interruptions and you're not staying there, huh? Interesting. Very, very interesting. A college-age man with a college-age girlfriend who definitely like to party. No shade to either one of them either. I promise you in my 20s, these are people I would have absolutely been partying with as well. 1,000,000% when I was their age. This would have been my crew 1,000,000%. Same. 100%. $2 bill and a little crushed up something in the 20s at the college campus, off campus sorority house, fucking absolutely. Anybody who did that, you went through, you were in your 20s, like I could see it. So this is no shade at them. It doesn't make sense to me that they aren't going to the secluded spot he has where no one else is at. And it can just be the two of them partying, hanging out with each other, popping on some fucking Netflix, chilling, getting your DoorDash, minding your business. And you don't have to go be at this house where there's like 30, 40 people all the time. Maybe you go there to party, but then when it's time to like go to bed and you just want to go to sleep, you go back to the place where no one is. That's what I'd be, even if like, I'm just trying to put myself in the situation, even as like Ethan's girlfriend, if I'm Xana, I'm going to be like, yo, we're going back to your place, right? We're not fucking sleeping here, right? There's 40 people here. I don't want to stay here with all these assholes in my house. Can we just go to your place where it's quiet? I'm just saying, like, that's my take on it. As someone who went through all of those years and the party years and no. If my boyfriend had his own apartment, that's where we were going. We would go to over here because over here was the party place. But then when it's time to go home, that's where we went. We went home to bed to the quiet place. So I just find it very, very interesting that Ethan has his own apartment somewhere that they never stay at, that very few people know about, it would appear. And what's interesting is that none of the lead agencies are the ones that processed his place. It's the FBI who did. So, I don't know. It's very, very interesting. There's a lot that really, it's just sticking in my head, right? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know what's coming. Maybe I do a little teensy tiny bit, right? But as I always say here, friends, never listen to me, never run with anything I say, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. These are just my opinions and my thoughts on what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, some of the reports that are coming out. I just wanted to add some context, at least, to the crime scene pics, that it's not a leak, because it's not a leak. And when it comes to Ethan and whatever happened here, right? I think for the most part, there's many of us. The only thing we really want is just the truth. That's it. We just want the truth. And it would appear that even the parents of Kaylee maybe also don't feel too confident that they got the full truth. And maybe that's why they're still so upset and why Steve's energy seems like he's a trapped animal in a cage because he's pissed, because he's angry, because maybe they didn't get the truth. You have mainstream media sources right now, big ones, Anjanette Levy, Brian Enton, Jesse Weber. Yep, talking to all of you who every time we came into your comments months and months ago trying to tell you there's unidentified male blood at that scene and there's unidentified male DNA on the sheet that isn't Kohberger's or Ethan's. And they told us, they deleted our comments. They called us conspiracy theorists. They told us we were just misunderstanding the documents. Okay? That's another smart ass answer I got from a fucking smart ass on here. You're just misunderstanding what the documents say. No, bitch, I'm not. No, I'm actually not misunderstanding what they say, even in the fucking slightest. To the point I understood them so much back then that even now, Anjanette Levy, News Nation, Jesse Weber, Brian Enton, all of these people are now talking about two perps. Two perps. They're all coming now. They're doing their own live streams on how it could have been two perps. And you got Howard Blum. Actually, Brian may have just been the accomplice. Excuse me? Excuse the fuck out of me? Because when we were saying this a year ago, you were calling us crazy ass tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. So I gotta say, I'm laying in the cut with my popcorn. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm gonna lay in the cut with my popcorn and I'm just gonna watch the fucking booms as they explode because it is coming. They all know what's coming. That's why they're all doing these segments now about two perps. Did they get it right? Did the state get it right? Could there be more than just Kohberger? It's coming. They know it's coming. This is why they have to put this stuff out. It is what it is. The booms are coming. And whatever it is that is coming out, they know it's coming. They're trying to just soften the blow, hopefully remain unscathed, hopefully still have, the public behind them. A lot of these big time mainstream media, creators, even though they are journalists and anchors on the news, they also have their own little YouTube channels with millions and millions of followers and they get millions and millions of views and they're making tons of fucking money off of just pushing the state's narrative in this case the entire time. And now they have to oopsie poopsie come back and they won't fully retract. But what they'll do is they'll start soft releasing information about, oh, actually, oopsie, could it have been two? That's what's going to happen. This is what the mainstream media does. It's what they always do since the beginning of time, since the beginning of their creation. All they are is a propaganda tool of the government. That is it. Okay? So this is why the mainstream media is allowed to have their sources within the government from the FBI and DHS and fucking law enforcement and all these places because they're the goddamn mockingbirds. They're the mockingbird media. They're doing exactly what they're told to do, reporting on exactly what they're told to report on. So the media overlords have told their little fucking underlings, you're going to have to start reporting on a second perp for a reason. Just know that. Just know that. All of these mainstream media talking fucking heads were told by their overlords, hey, you're actually going to have to start reporting on a multi-perp angle here because it's coming. So if I'm wrong about that, great, I'll eat my words, but I'm like 99.9999999%. I'm not wrong about that. The media overlords have told their underlings, you're going to have to start reporting on two perps. And there's a reason for that. because the media overlords get their information from their inside sources within the government. The same government who has to respond to our FOIAs. Okay? It's one big circle jerk. So, either way, hopefully, I would say everybody, lay in the cut, get your popcorn, get your drinks, get your snacks, because the shit is about to hit the fan. Okay? And when it does, I gotta say I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And the reason that I'm here for it is because, the people who in the beginning of this case chose to lie, they chose to mislead, they chose to possibly even falsify and or fabricate evidence in the case for the state to use. I feel like, you unfortunately deserve what's coming to you. Sorry. And I'm so sorry if that sounds mean, if that sounds rude, not trying to be, but if you had a hand in the beginning of this case with any of the deception, any of the falsification, the misleading, the lying by omission, the lying, just flat out lying, and you got caught, I'm so very sorry. But it's going to have to come out. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is the 100% truth about what happened. Okay? Period. End of story. The public is entitled to the truth. We deserve to know the truth. Our money funds all of these agencies. Okay? One way or another, no matter which way you look at it. As long as the state of Idaho is getting federal fucking taxpayer dollars and then funneling it and trickling it down to their state police, their local police, their anything to do with their law enforcement agencies, as long as they're using federal taxpayer dollars to support law enforcement efforts in their state, we as the federal taxpayer have every right to fucking ensure what you did here is correct. That our money was used correctly. And we have every right to know. And if that bothers the families, I'm sorry. You're going to have to be bothered by it. It is what it is. And I mean that with no disrespect at all. You're just going to have to be bothered by the fact that the public has every right to know what was done in this case with their money. Sorry. Especially because the FBI acted as an agent of the state. The FBI tracked this motherfucker across the country. They used $1 million vehicle to spy on him and his fucking family. They spent, we don't even know how much, doing all of the backdooring of the fucking DNA. Okay? So we do have every right to know precisely what happened here. And if you did anything, if you're anyone in this case, I'm sorry, family member, friend, or otherwise. If you lied by omission, if you falsified documents, if you submitted documents or evidence to the state claiming it was real, and later it's found out it's fraudulent, but you submitted that, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It's all going to come out in the end, you know? You cannot run from the truth here. Whatever happened needs to come out, right? If there's more than one perp, if Brian was with his friends, get his fucking friends too. I don't care. I am not one of those people that's like, oh my God, Brian's fucking innocent. I can't believe they put this innocent man in jail for no reason at all. Nope, I'm not one of those people. And if that's what you're looking for here, you're on the wrong channel. That's not me. It's never been me. There was a point where I thought they definitely got the wrong guy here. They did something wrong. They got the wrong car or something, right? There was a time where I did sit, but then as we got a little further, I'm a little bit more open-minded than everybody else, okay? I have no problem with if it comes out that it was Mr. Kohberger and a couple of his crazy little fucking weirdo friends he met out there for some reason, right? We have no idea. We have no idea. People pretending that they know how Brian Kohberger is. They do not know shit. Many of these people haven't seen him since he was 18, 19 years old. He committed this crime when he was 28. He went all the way out to fucking the West Coast for school. He's recommended for a program out there. You don't think he was online, maybe trying to get into some groups before he went out there, trying to get the lay of the land, find some hobbies and interests and groups out there, people he might be able to chill with when he gets out there. Like, who are we to say that Brian didn't fucking know anybody out there? We don't know that as a fact, right? So if we find out, like, I'm fine with it if it comes out that, like, yes, the state got it wrong in this sense that because they never identified these other male DNAs, right? Say, for example, the unidentified male DNA on the back of the sheet, along with Brian's touch DNA, happens to be like somebody he met going to the gym or in a hiking group off of fucking Facebook or Snapchat or some shit, right? I'm just throwing it out there hypothetically. Would you be more able to accept that, like, holy shit, actually, he may have fucking been there, right? And I get it. My brain, my analytical brain goes to, well, even if it is him and a friend, how the fuck did they get out of that house without leaving any boot prints, shoe prints, footprints? Even if they put fucking booties on over their shoes or whatever, you're still going to see smears and transfer staining from that, especially after Xana's room. When you look at Xana's room, there is no way other than if you stripped down and climbed out that fucking window off the desk. It's the only way you're getting out of that house. You would have had to strip down in Ethan and Xana's room when you're done killing them and fucking take everything with you as you climb out that window. And then that would negate all of Dylan's bullshit. I saw the perp in a black mask and black clothes walk by me and go out the back door. Maybe one of these perps did go out that motherfucking slider, but the problem is that perp didn't step in any blood. Because if they did, they would have tracked it out of Xana's room, through the living room, through the little hall, into the kitchen. Right? None of the blood from inside Ethan and Xana's room was tracked out of their room. Logically, that would dictate the killer never left the fucking room, or the killer left the house via that room. Yeah? I mean, I don't know. My mind has no problem going to Mr. Kohberger and a friend. No problem with that. So hypothetically, if we were to find out that, like, the state got it wrong because they never identified the other male on the back of the sheet, they just used it for comparison purposes. But maybe now, further down the road, that male has been identified. They know who the male is. We don't, but maybe they do, right? If they know who that male is, they know they fucked up somewhere, they got something wrong, and actually this person is someone that Brian knows, right? I'm just throwing that out there, okay? I know there's plenty of people who think Brian Kohberger's 1,000,000% innocent, and I want you to have that opinion. It's totally fine. I've just tried to remain in I'm not taking any position on his innocence or guilt until I see everything. And the fact that we still have close to 300 fucking sealed filings in this case, never mind the amount of disclosures, expert filings, evidence, exhibits, you name it, we don't have it, right? We don't have it. So I can't make a definitive he's absolutely innocent or he's absolutely guilty. The only thing I want is if you need to figure out who the fuck else was there, because there is another man's DNA on the back of that sheet, and it isn't Kohberger's and it isn't Chapin's. And I want everyone involved charged accordingly. I do not want any fucking person involved in this crime still running around on the street. I don't care how they were involved. I don't care if they were an accessory, if they aided and abetted, if they helped get rid of clothes and or a murder weapon or both. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't care what the fucking level of involvement here is for each particular person. Charge them all accordingly. That to me is what needs to happen. And now you got all these mainstream media people who were told by their overlords, well, you better start reporting on a second fucking perp because it's coming down the pike. It's coming down the pike. And now they're all scrambling to get their fucking shit out as quickly as they possibly can. Could it have been two perps? Could Brian Kohberger have had help? Could Brian Kohberger have been an accomplice? Isn't that fucking interesting? It's because they know what's coming, friends. They know what's coming. They know. And they're all just trying to get ahead of it. Okay. So, as much as I would love to be able to see my chat, I can't. I just can't. I can see like 2 comments at a time. I didn't bring my glasses with me. I'm sorry, friends. I'm trying to look at my comments here. Yeah, I can't even read that. Shit. Sorry, friends. Glitch DNA. Is Audrey in here? Audrey, darling, so good to see you. Hi, honey. Ali Guido, hello. Okay, somebody gifted a bunch of memberships. A bunch of people turned green. Whoever that was, Meg, it was probably Meg or Mercy Cat, is my guess. Gifting membership. So whoever gifted memberships, please make sure you say thank you if you turned green. Appreciate everybody being here. I really do. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm probably going to end it. Thank you to everybody who hung out with me this morning. Sorry, I tried to stay on track. I tried to give you my brainworms. I hope everybody understands this is no shade at the family. It's no shade at the victims. It's nothing like that. My main problem is with the mainstream media. Okay. They've known all along. And they chose to just go along with the state narrative only. Even though they've known all along that in these documents, it would dictate there are other unidentified males that were only used for comparison purposes, not for identification purposes. They've always known that, and they just chose to never talk about it. And now their overlords are forcing them to talk about it. And I'm here for it. So you know what, mainstream media overlords, if you're listening, bravo, bravo. It's about time that you hopped on the motherfucking crazy train with the rest of us and decided to tell your underlings they need to start reporting on the other unidentified fucking men. It's about time. Welcome to the crazy train. And now you get to have the brainworms just like the rest of us, mainstream media. Now you get to come along for the ride. You're welcome. You're welcome, mainstream media. You're welcome, YouTube. You're welcome. I'm glad that I could fucking help you. Okay. We're all so glad that we could help you, mainstream media. Get back on board the fucking crazy train with the rest of us, because we've all known for a long time there is multiple other unidentified males pertinent to this crime and this crime scene that were collected by the Idaho State Police Forensic Services and ignored by the investigators the moment that they got Kohberger's name as a tip. So maybe you should report on that. Maybe the overlords will tell them to start reporting on that. Maybe the overlords will make them start reading the documents out loud to their viewers like we do. Maybe, just maybe. But either way, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Jazz King, as always, sir, thank you so, so much for your super sticker today. Okay. You're amazing. So good to see you. Hope you have a wonderful week. What else is here? What is this? Yes, it was Mercy Cat. Mercy Cat, I love you so much. Mercy Cat gifted 15 of you memberships today. So there's 15 of you that should be throwing a bunch of heart emojis in the chat for Mercy Cat because she turned you green. I hope everybody goes and has a wonderful day. This is technically like my third day back to work. I had 2 days I was allowed to work last week, and they said I could do 2 to 3 days this week. So this is going to be my first day back to work this week for a couple of hours. I won't overdo it. But as I said in the beginning, I don't know how to sit still, and it is driving me fucking insane that I can't be busy the way I like to be busy. So, but I promise I'll take it easy. I'm going to work for a little while, and then maybe I'll see you guys tonight for a live so that we can continue going through the rest of these crime scene photos, even though nobody thinks we should be. I'm going to go through them. I fought for 6 months to get them uploaded to that public website, redacted and free of charge to the public. And I'm damn sure gonna go through them unmonetized. The live streams for the crime scene pics are not monetized. So hopefully we'll see you there tonight, friends. Go have an awesome day. Mercy Cat, love you. Meg, love you. For fuck's sake, Fitziana, wherever you are, I love you. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Take care, friends. Bye.